Messiah Delhomme is the next Big Ten star.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of the Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential wins with the college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Maryland's Messiah Delhomme is the next star in the Big Ten. Yes, I think Messiah Delhomme is going to be really good next year for Maryland football, and is going to be the next great player in Maryland's secondary. The sophomore had a really good freshman year, I thought, coming in. I thought he kind of had to battle a little bit for playing time. He came in as a pretty high-level recruit. A lot of people thought that he was going to be able to play right away, but there's also concerns with some of his injuries. But man, in his freshman year, I thought Messiah Delhomme showed a lot of different types of flashes and potential to show that this kid is going to be a really good player in Maryland's secondary for hopefully the next couple of years. I think he really did prove that. And then the talent showed last year. He played in every single game. And I think what kind of was the biggest part about it that wasn't a direct effect on the defense, but he showed out on was special team. He was a really good special teams player. He was selected as Maryland's freshman special teams player of the year. He had a ton of different plays on the special teams. It was pretty awesome to see. He was one of only 11 players nationally to block 2 kicks during the 2025 season. You saw him kind of show flashes and kind of be all over the place on the special teams, and you instantly thought, or I instantly thought, this is going to translate to the defensive side of the ball as well. He showed it first on the special teams, blocking kicks, being all over the place, on kick returns, different things like that. And he showed kind of that freakish athleticism that I think is going to allow him to really break out this year. I mean, he was already one of the top players in the state of Virginia. He was the number 6 overall safety, according to Rivals. He was in the ESPN 300 out of high school. Like, he was supposed to be the next big thing for Maryland football. And he really showed that on the special teams at first. But then as the year went on, you watched on the defensive side of the ball, and you're like, this kid's playing a lot on the back end at the safety position. He ranked 3rd on the team with 4 pass breakups. He had 39 tackles, including a tackle for loss as well. He had an interception and a fumble recovery too. He had his first tackle for loss against Michigan, like a big team to have it against. And I think we're looking at his role expanding dramatically next year. He went from being like in the rotation as a freshman. And if you're in the rotation as a freshman for Maryland football, who had a pretty good safety room last year, like we definitely had some players, we definitely had some talent there in the safety room where he was competing right away to play. I think you instantly kind of understood that this kid's going to have a chance to be the next Big Ten star, I think, for Maryland football. And we've had really good players in the back end of our on the back end of our defense. Like, we've had a lot of good ones, and I think Messiah Delhomme's really next on the list. When you think about some of the guys that we have, like I instantly think of guys like, in my head, I instantly think of guys like Dante Trader, and Bo Braid and Nick Cross and Tarheeb Still and Deontay Banks, all those different guys that used to be in our secondary that are playing on Sundays, I think, are really kind of awesome kind of players to think about. Jalen Husky last year as well, another guy that was really good for us, arguably our best defensive player. Messiah Delhomme was pushing all those different guys, or was all those guys last year to play, whether it was Le'Veon Scruggs, whether it was Gavin Edwards, whether it was Jalen Husky. He was pushing all those different guys to get on the field instantly, and he really showed a lot of talent, I thought. And it makes sense when you look at kind of his athleticism, when you look at some of his traits, it makes a lot of sense why he was going to be a really good player, or is going to be a really good player. He ran track. He was really fast in high school. He had a ton of big time offers, and he's also 6'2", like that safety height that is really exciting, I think, for Maryland football, because he's going to have that kind of range and that athleticism, and another year of him getting stronger, another year of him getting bigger. I think he's going to have the chance to really put on and to have one of the better years we've seen potentially a Maryland safety have. Like, I think he's that good. I just think the combination of making potential plays on special teams while also making plays on the back end of the defense, I think is really huge. And I talked about another kid, Darrell Carey, who's coming in, who's also a pretty high-level recruit, 4-star recruit at safety, similar athleticism, 6'2", rangy. I think those two guys can make a really cool combo in the future for Maryland football. And so I think this kid's the next breakout star, whatever you want to call it, in the Big Ten. And I think we're going to watch it. I think his athleticism, we saw him have the hustle and the compete that he had on special teams, and it's his time. I think it's his time. When you look at the depth chart, he's there. Like, he's going to be a starter. I think there's a really good chance that he plays almost every snap. I think you can move him around a little. I think Maryland's that slot star position is still kind of open too. And so if he's good there, you could play him there. You can just play him in the back end. We'll see what Maryland wants to do with him. But I think it's really exciting, because I think Messiah Delhomme has a great future. And I think he's going to end up being a really good player for Maryland football next year. And I really think he's going to blossom for the Terps and really potentially show out. There's some talent there, like I said, like Le'Veon Scruggs, Gavin Edwards, Darrell Carey we're excited about. But I think right now Messiah Delhomme might be the best one in that room. I know Le'Veon Scruggs is the most experienced, but I think in terms of pure talent, I think Messiah Delhomme could be the best one in that room. I think he's that good instantly, and he could compete to be one of the better safeties in the Big Ten. Like, I think he could be that good. I think that's on the card for Messiah Delhomme. We'll see what ends up happening, but I am really excited to see what he can become. Maryland basketball has a Big Ten tournament game today. Let's talk about who do they play, what are their chances. We'll talk about that next. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood Prediction Market. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets changes the games. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but I never had the dynamic way to apply that knowledge. And now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator play by play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel's giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see your slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential buyout. Go safe, go bold, ride with your team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. So Maryland basketball actually has a game today in March basketball, like important basketball. I don't know how far we're going to make it, but Maryland basketball, I think, has a pretty good chance of winning their game today against the Oregon Ducks. Today at 5 p.m., so it is in the evening. I know these Big Ten schedules can get weird, but Maryland plays the Oregon Ducks in the first round of the game. And it's crazy what you got to do as one of these back seeds to be able to win the Big Ten tournament. You got to win like 6 straight games, I think it is. But Maryland's the 17 seed playing Oregon. That's the 16 seed who isn't very good. The Oregon Ducks aren't a very good team. It'd be cool to keep watching us play. Like, to be completely honest, I would love to continue to watch Maryland basketball play. I would love to continue to see them be able to compete against a team like Oregon and to win another game after that. Like, I think that'd be cool to see Buzz Williams get some momentum heading into the next year. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, Maryland's going to have a chance to win the Big Ten tournament. Like, I said that last year, obviously, because I thought our team was really good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that this year, but I do think Maryland can win this game against Oregon. Like, I think there's a good chance that Maryland can win this game against Oregon, who's 12-19 overall. They haven't been good all year. They went through a major losing streak. They've been a little bit better as of late. They did win their last game against Washington, 85-79. But before that, they got smacked by Illinois, 80-54. Lost to Northwestern, 63-62. But did have 2 really good wins against Wisconsin and USC. So I don't know what Oregon team is going to show up, but they do have some pretty good players. I think I definitely think they have some talent on their roster and guys that have kind of been there, guys that have played at a decent level. So I do think there's a chance that they do pose some problems for a Maryland basketball team that is offensively challenged in a lot of different ways. You don't know what type of Maryland you're going to get. And so we'll see exactly what happens in this game. But I do think it's going to be a really interesting matchups. And now at this point, all these teams you've at least seen once. And so Maryland has already played this Oregon team. If you guys remember, they beat Maryland by 10, 64-54. They were challenging defensively. Maryland couldn't score on them, but that's Maryland for a lot of teams this season. But I did think Maryland had some, it was kind of like a slow struggle of a game. Both teams weren't very good offensively. Like I said, Oregon only put up 64 points in that game. Maryland put up 54. Like, it was a kind of slow struggle of a game. Neither team could do too much, but Maryland did end up losing by 10. They just didn't have very much offensive talent in that game. There wasn't really anybody that did too much offensively when you look at kind of the stat book. Like, Solomon Washington played well, but that was really it. That was kind of before Andre Mills's breakout and Andre Mills kind of leading Maryland basketball. Maryland's a different team now. Like, it's definitely a different team now with different players that can make different plays, but we did lose last time. And so we'll see what happens. I think the big question mark and a big part I'm going to be watching in this game is Darius Adams. What is he going to do? He played really well last game and was a big reason why we could stay in the game against Illinois when he scored 14 points. He's coming off the bench now, which I honestly kind of like. I think it just works a little bit better for him. But I think we're going to need an offensive output for us to beat him. Like, they're a solid defensive team, I think, with some length down low and throughout their team, especially with the kid Kwame Evans. Like, I think Kwame Evans is a good defender. If you guys remember that name, I thought he's a Maryland guy. And so there was a chance that Kwame Evans ended up at Maryland, but that didn't work out. But they're a lanky team. They got some longer guys. And so we'll see what ends up happening there. But I think Darius Adams really could be a big kind of step in this and something that we really would need. And so I think that's important in the game. We want to watch Andre Mills continue to kind of have his way, have his big year in his breakout. He's gonna probably lead the team in scoring, and if he can play well offensively, I think Maryland has a good chance to win the game. If he can't, like, you can probably count us out. I just don't think we have enough talent, but they definitely have some guys. The kid Nate Biddle, he'll stretch the floor at the 5 spot. Like, he'll take threes. He'll shoot. He's so far averaging 17 a game. Like, he's their best player. But they have like 4 guys that can honestly score the rock. Like Jackson Shelstad, the guard's pretty good. Kwame Evans, like I said, he's long. We had trouble keeping him out the paint last time. Like, they have a pretty good balanced offensive team. I just think they just haven't kind of played to their expectation. Like, I think on paper they're better than Maryland, but they just haven't been able to figure it out. And I don't watch every Oregon basketball game, so I can't tell you exactly why. But they definitely have had trouble kind of figuring it out overall. Like, they definitely have some talent there. They definitely have some guys that can score the ball, but you know, that doesn't make you win games. And so I do think that it's gonna be a close game, and it's gonna kind of come down to the wire. Who knows what ends up actually happening in the game, but I do think Maryland has a good chance of keeping it close and potentially winning. I think Oregon's a little bit better in terms of their offensive talent and kind of their scoring and their depth of scoring, but this ain't like playing Illinois, or this ain't like playing Purdue. Like, they ain't that good. And so I think Maryland's going to have a chance here to potentially win, but we'll see what ends up happening. But I think Andre Mills, Darius Adams, and then Solomon Washington, if he rebounds well, I think Maryland's in the game down the stretch, and hopefully we get we're able to play another game. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I do think there's an opportunity there for Maryland to be able to do that. So we'll see exactly what ends up happening. I want to talk a little bit more about potentially Maryland basketball going on a win streak and winning games in the Big Ten tournament. Can they do that? Can we potentially be able to win games? We'll talk about what I think about that. Can we go on a little run, a little March Madness? We'll talk about that next. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old ways of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with real tax expert, and documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's a relief of walking in, meeting a real person, and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. It's something that I've liked as a kid. It's sweet, it has a good flavor, and I think 5-Hour Energy does a really good job at it. I'm drafting the cotton candy as the number one. It reminds me a lot of when I was a kid. You would go get cotton candy at the fair or whatever the case was, and it was always really good. And I think 5-Hour Energy does a really good job. But there's a bunch of other flavors that you guys have to choose from. Like I said, there's Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cotton Candy, and so much other ones as well. And they were all tough to choose from. And 5-Hour Energy Shots gives you a boost with zero sugar. 5-Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavors innovations planned. There's a bunch of different, so you have to go check out 5-Hour Energy if you guys are planning on staying awake during the day. Find your new favorite flavor 5-Hour Energy Shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. So I do think that Maryland could win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, and that's kind of where I max out on. I think Maryland could win 2 games. I don't think that's crazy to say that. I think there's not a good chance, but I do think there's an opportunity for Maryland to win 2 games. I do. I think Maryland can beat this Oregon team. I just checked the line. Maryland's 4.5 underdogs. So it's supposed to be a pretty close game. I don't know what Maryland team's going to show up, but I also don't know what Oregon team's going to show up. Oregon has been decent in spots. They've had some different players play solidly in different cases, but I don't really know what to expect from either team. So I do think there's a good chance that Maryland comes away with the win against Oregon, and then they play an Iowa team that is good, but they've been up and down a lot of the year too. I know they're probably a tournament team. I know they've done a lot of good things, but Iowa's definitely a suspect team. I'm not 100% confident in, and I think Maryland could potentially win that game. I do think there's a chance of Maryland beating Iowa. I think that's possible. And then Ohio State, I think who knows what could happen in that game too. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying that will happen. Like, there's a good chance, a really good chance. Like, Vegas thinks we'll lose to Oregon tonight. Like, there's a really good chance that we lose tonight. But I do think there's a chance for Maryland to make a mini run. Like, I think the first 3 games aren't that crazy. Like, I think Oregon's obviously the 16th seed. Like, they're decent. They're nothing special. They can't really figure out themselves as a team. They've been up and down, similar to Maryland all year. And then you move to Iowa, a similar kind of deal. Like, they are a good team, kind of a better version of Oregon, but they've been up and down. Like, they've had some bad losses. They've also had some really good wins. But then, so, Iowa's definitely a team that Maryland could beat. And we've seen Maryland beat Iowa. I know it's tough to beat a team twice, and I think Ohio State's performed a little bit better than maybe their talent this year. And honestly, another team that Maryland could win. So I think there's a chance Maryland wins 3 games in a row. There's no way Maryland's beating Michigan. Do I think it's likely? Not at all. I don't think it's likely. But I do think the way the bracket shapes up, I think there is a chance. Like, I think beating Purdue would be a lot harder than beating Ohio State. I think beating Indiana would be maybe harder than beating Iowa. Like, I do think this kind of stacks up for Maryland to potentially make a run at it. I do. And we have a couple guys that are kind of volatile, that kind of are high risk, high reward, that potentially could make plays, that could potentially do some pretty big things. And I think there's a chance that they end up kind of getting us there. I think there's an opportunity for Maryland basketball for that to happen. And so we'll see what ends up happening, but I do kind of like our chances in a lot of areas here for Maryland. So we'll see what ends up happening if Maryland can actually end up going on a run. A lot of it's going to kind of depend on the roster, but this is the last time, I'll tell you this is the last time I want to see Buzz Williams as a 17 seed in the tournament. And it's the last time I want to see the Maryland basketball that low. That should never happen. That should never be a thing. It's not something I want to see again. And so we need to fix this going into next year. I want to see this with a double bye. I want to see this with a triple bye, like whatever it is. Maryland's going to have to be better next year. But I do think there is a chance we go on a little run in the tournament. I can see Andre Mills having himself a Big Ten tournament. And hey, we get to play some basketball in March. You can't complain too much about that. I think the hardest part is you don't really get rest if you're the top team, but you never know. Sometimes rest can be overrated. The other team can be rusty, whatever the case is. That does happen sometimes. And so I think there's a chance that happens with Maryland. And Maryland has limited rest. But, if we beat Oregon, Iowa might come out rusty in the first half. And that's all we need to potentially stay in the game and make a good play late. Like, I do think Maryland started to figure it out more. I do think we're a better team than we were at the start of the Big Ten play. And so I think Andre Mills has become a star. We saw Darius Adams potentially come off the bench. That could be a thing. Some of the guys down low have been pretty good. I think there's a chance there for Maryland to do something. Not saying it's going to happen, not saying it's necessarily likely, but I think there's a small chance. I don't think it's the craziest thing I've ever heard. So it's my job to be optimistic about it, and we'll see what ends up happening today. It could be over after today, and my segment tomorrow, it could be Buzz Williams has one of the worst seasons for Maryland basketball, can never repeat. I think that's possible too, but we'll see what ends up happening. maybe we make a run. Maybe we're dancing at the end of this. Who knows? There's crazier things that have happened in March Madness. So we'll see what ends up happening. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to see if we can kind of move along here, but it'll definitely be an interesting watch. But that's all we have for today, guys. Thank you guys all for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.